Doing well financially isn't all it's cracked up to be. You might often find that you're just always down on yourself and just not feeling how you're supposed to feel. At least that's how I felt. I moved to Toronto, which is the biggest city in Canada, about 3 years ago, and I don't know, I just had this feeling that I was never doing as well financially as even my friends, but especially in terms of the greater population. Everyone seemed to be bustling and doing amazing while I was just kind of like struggling to make ends meet, and I was looking for different jobs and nothing seemed to be working. And so I got really down on myself because of this. And so that kind of got me thinking about what it actually means to be doing well financially, and the results actually shocked me when I read more about it in terms of average statistics and how well I was actually doing, to kind of give myself a bit of a break, because we all need a break sometimes. You can't always just be hustling for money and trying to make millions of dollars every day. As nice as it would be, we're probably doing all right. And then I started to realize, and reality set in, that I'm so fortunate to live where I do, to do what I do in terms of my work, and to be able to talk to you guys and hopefully deliver you guys a bit of value when it comes to this stuff. So fortunate to be able to do this stuff, and I hope you guys can take something away from this video. And yeah, knowing this stuff just really moved me and got me to think a little bit differently about how finances work. So without further ado, let's get into 7 signs that you're doing well financially, even if you don't necessarily feel that way. So the first way that was kind of the telltale sign that I was doing okay financially was that I spent less than I earned every single month. And this might have come from my natural frugality, but in general, if you are spending less than you're earning, you're doing better than the average person. And the reason for this is that, according to 2019 data, the average Canadian, and very similar for the US, earned about $67,000 per year, but the annual spending per individual person was about $69,000, meaning every single year, Canadians need to use $2,000 of debt in order to cover their spending. And this gets even worse as you get into the bigger cities of Canada, and likely in the United States as well. The average person spends about $74,000. And when you add kids to the mix, this gets even more ridiculous at $95,000. So you can see just how sad this really is, and just how much spending goes into this economy, and how little people are actually earning comparing to what they spend. So if you're in a situation where you aren't borrowing every single month in order to pay your bills or to make ends meet, or even just for general spending, if you want to go out for dinner, you don't have to put it on your credit card and hope and pray for that next paycheck in order to pay it off, but you instead are able to cover everything with what you make. That is an awesome sign that you're doing well financially. And the sad part about this is, this was even before the pandemic started in 2019, where this data is from. So likely with inflation and higher interest rates, this has gotten even worse over time.
You know, raising the rates and everything.
And people are likely spending even more, while wages haven't really increased that much anyways. The second sign that you're doing well financially kind of ties into the first one, that you spend less than you earn, and this is if you're using that extra cash in order to pay down your debt, or you're using it to invest. And this is so important, because I know as a fact, when I first started working, I was like, oh my goodness, I have access to a little bit of money, and even though I needed most of it to cover my bills, I sometimes had a little bit left over and was so tempted to just go out and blow it on something I really wanted. And it takes a lot of discipline not to do that. So if you're able to pay down debt and you're able to invest every single month with that extra cash flow, you're doing immensely well financially. The third sign is that you are watching this video. Yes, you heard that right. If you're watching this video, you're absolutely killing it. You know why? Because you're actively seeking out information to become financially literate, and you're learning things actively, whereas most people are very passive and don't bother learning about personal finance and how to get better with their money. If you follow different blogs, if you listen to different podcasts, if you spend a lot of time on YouTube, like right now, watching personal finance videos, this is a great sign that you're doing very well. The fourth sign is that that you don't let lifestyle inflation happen to you. And I have been so susceptible to this because I didn't even know what lifestyle inflation was until I started learning a little bit more about personal finance, and I realized just how dangerous it is because it's practically invisible. You don't really notice it. And it can be as simple as getting a promotion at work when you get a $10,000 raise, and all of a sudden your mind just goes, oh, okay, now I can spend a little bit more on this per month, and I can spend a little bit more on rent, and I can move somewhere nicer. And that's the exact opposite of what you should be thinking. So if you got a raise, or you changed jobs, or you started a side hustle and started earning a little bit more money, and you tried to keep your expenses roughly the same, maybe you increase them a little bit, of course that's fine as well, but you don't want to be dollar for dollar increasing your spending with your income. If you keep your expenses roughly the same as you earn more money and avoid lifestyle inflation, you're doing very well financially. Canadian data actually even shows down to the granular level of electricity usage by income level actually increases as well. And although this alone is just the utility cost of electricity as income goes up, and they were looking at household income here, but if it goes up, what does that mean? It means you have more electronics in your house, or you have things that use more power. So this can mean anything from like more fancier gadgets or things that need more charging, and that's kind of what the proxy is for. It's for increased spending. The fifth sign is that you are always thinking about how you can make your money work harder for you. You don't just come home and plop on the couch and watch TV. You are actively thinking and working on the side on something else, or maybe you're even thinking about why your money's sitting in a checking account when it could, I don't know, be in a GIC or a CD in the US, or even a high yield savings account to earn you a little bit more over time. It can be as simple as reducing your bank fees by switching banks, or getting a credit card that gets you more rewards. And overall, if you're doing things like this, thinking about the bigger picture on how to increase your income over time and save you money, you are doing very well financially. So any of those things I mentioned, if you're doing any of those things at all, you are doing better than the average person. The sixth sign is that you're not necessarily scared of losing your job. And this is so important because I know I'm still kind of scared of losing my job. You might be too, and that's completely fine, but you should work towards towards the thinking that you won't be any worse off if you were to lose your job, and that's for two reasons. The first being that you're actively thinking about how to increase your income, and over the years you're going to be actually developing those other income sources so that you can at least cover some portion of your costs, maybe even all your costs eventually. And the second is that you know how you can earn money, and you know that your skills are valuable so that another workplace would value you just as much as your current one. You could easily find another job. And if you feel that way, or even a little bit, you feel like you have some edge or you have some skills that other people don't have, you're doing very well and you will be just fine. And the last sign that you're doing well is that you have some kind of tracking mechanism for your expenses and income. And this can be in the form of a budget, or it can simply just be keeping track of what you spend. But overall, you know roughly what goes out and what comes in every month, and you know what you're doing well and areas that you're not doing so well, so you know where to constantly be improving. And this is such a huge difference. And honestly, if you do this, and you currently do this, you are better off than most people, and it'll actually be a virtuous cycle that'll lead into all the other 6 signs as well. So if you budget right now, or you're keeping track of your expenses, you're killing it. Okay, so now I just wanted to take a moment and just talk a little bit about comparison in general, because I know most of us were so caught up with this, and I know for a fact myself, I give myself such a hard time, and I know you probably do too, with just not doing as well as you really want to be doing, or being in the spot where you'd really want to be at this point in your life. And for that, I just wanted to talk about a great story that my fellow Canadians, you might know this story, and if not, this is a great one. So it's about this guy called Terry Fox. So this is a story about both triumph and comparison, and really helped me put in perspective like what I'm doing, and that everything doesn't really matter so much, and I should just really stop comparing and just live life and do what I love. And The reason I got into this is just, I don't know, it's just such a great story for this, and it popped into my mind while I was thinking about this video, and it's just such a great representation. So who is Terry Fox? Well, he was a 19-year-old kid back in 1977, and he actually got a rare type of bone cancer at the time and had to get his leg amputated because of that. So he lost his entire leg to this cancer, and this was done in order to stop the spread of the cancer, which originated in his leg. He started running, and by running, I mean he kind of had like this weird hop where he did like 2 jumps on one leg and then 1 on the other that was prosthetic. And he was so frustrated at how little money was being given to cancer societies and research into cancer treatments and cures. And so he started training and started running a little bit more. And then one day he did a run that was 27 kilometers, finishing 10 minutes after the last contestant finished, but he pushed through and got through it with just 1 leg. So this is the first lesson, and Terry was so proud of himself even though he finished that marathon. And he did it in very last place, but he got more praise and more happiness from everyone around him, and probably even himself, just for finishing and pushing through. It didn't matter what the other people were doing. He had 1 leg and he was pushing through because he had a mission. What Terry did next was pretty extraordinary, and he's definitely a historic figure with statues all over Canada.
He wanted to show people that you've got to get up and do something that you believe in.
8,000 kilometers from St. John's at the east end of Canada all the way to Victoria on the west end. So this is a huge distance to cover. Currently, he was running 42 kilometers a day and started on the east end of Canada. So without stopping, he ran every single day, starting in April of 1980. Every single day he ran for months, and all he stopped for was to give a speech or to eat and drink, and this was it. He didn't stop for anything else. He was purely driven by his focus on his end goal. And again, not comparing to anyone. He developed cysts on his leg due to the pain from the running. He even got tendonitis at some point, and then eventually the cancer returned. But he did get to a point where corporations all got on board and donated $2 per mile that Terry ran, and so he ended up raising millions of dollars for cancer research. Just outside of Thunder Bay, just under 5,400 kilometers into his run in late September of 1980, after many months of running, he developed a really bad cough and had to be transported to the hospital. And it turns out that that cough was cancer that had returned and now infected his lungs. So after so many months of running and pushing and really driving on that mission, just 9 months after he stopped, he unfortunately passed away from cancer. So, although the story is a little bit grim, I just thought it was such a cool way of applying this concept of not comparing to anyone, and just the mental fortitude that he had with his mission in mind and just only focusing on himself and what he wanted to achieve. This story of human spirit and just unconditional motivation to get something done, uncompromising strength. I really hope that you can apply this to your mission. What is that area of your life where you feel that passion for? And just stop, who cares about everyone else? Just focus on your lane and just go at it full speed as hard as you possibly can. Pour everything you can into it, create value, and you'll be living the life of your dreams. And I know I'm slowly getting to that path. Of course, it's no easy feat to just not compare to anyone and just kind of do your own thing, but it's an ongoing project that I'm working on, and I hope you can work with me at the same time. And after seeing statistics of average household income and spending, and even just the cost of living these days, I'm so upset for so many people, and that's kind of why I do this. I just really want to educate you guys and help you guys live the best life and avoid all of these sad instances where you're just living paycheck to paycheck for the rest of your life. And that's not what I want for you guys. And even for myself, as I go through this journey, I just want to share everything I learned with you so that we can all just grow together. Whenever you feel behind in life, just remember these 7 signs that you're doing well financially. I often remind myself as well. I've written them down and I read them from time to time just to remind myself I'm doing okay. and comparison is the thief of joy, as that saying goes. So just try to do it a little bit less every single day, and just don't worry about other people and what they're doing. They're likely not doing it as well as you anyways. I hope this video inspired you to do a little bit better every day, to stop comparing, and to be more grateful for what you have, which is definitely something I've found myself to be able to do in the last couple months, as I've stopped comparing myself as much as I used to, and it's been so liberating. So I'm hoping that this video helped you. If it did, please feel free to share it with your friends or family. I would really appreciate it to spread the word a little bit more, and I'll see you guys next time.